So here we are. I'm going to cut straight to it. Show you guys exactly what I've picked up and what the plan is. So wasn't planning on buying replacement seats for this car, but I was just looking at AMG parts on Marketplace and I came across these beauties right here. So before we go over them, we'll just take a look at what we have currently, which is just the stock black, I'll zoom out a bit here, the stock black coupe seats with the light grey stitching. Absolutely nothing wrong with these seats. They're in as new condition. This car's only got 14,000 miles on it. There's a tiny little bit of creasing there, but I think that's just natural from the leather. But yeah, these seats are immaculate and super comfortable. No complaints whatsoever. Obviously, these are memory and full power and heated. So, like I mentioned, Marketplace. Came across these. Haven't even unwrapped them yet, other than just lifting the covers up when I was at the seller's garage, checking them over. So I'll unwrap one of them, and then we'll talk about exactly what I've got and what the plan is going forwards. So yeah, we'll take this cover off. So there you have it. So these are the full black leather with the white Alcantara striping. These are absolutely brand new. They have never been inside of a car. And yeah, I mean, obviously, as you would expect, all the upholstery is perfect. A couple of little minor impression marks from being in storage, but they'll pop right out with a little bit of use. And the seats are 100% complete. So they have the control modules on the bottom. They have the airbags intact. The side trim pieces I have right there. So these were actually ordered for a GLC coupe. So they're not actually for a C-Class. However, from the research that I've done, the GLC and the C-Class are cross-compatible with a lot of the interior pieces, such as the center console, and also the seat control modules are even interchangeable. So I am taking a gamble as to whether or not these are going to work. I don't know if the seat frames are going to be the same or whether I would technically have to swap over the rails. I don't know if the control module, which is hiding under this slinky bag here, I don't know if this is compatible with my car, or I'd have to swap out the one from the other seat. But then I don't know if in doing so it wouldn't work well with this seat, because obviously it's a little bit different from the coupe seats. It doesn't have the adjustable height headrest, and everything else will be pretty much the same. This seat does have a pre-tensioner on the side, since the GLC coupe does have the attachment point there. But it's not a big deal because the cover plate goes right over it. Let's wait a minute for that truck to pass. But yes, there's a cover plate that snaps over and leaves a very small gap for the seatbelt to come up through. So with the plate installed, all of this pre-tensioner will be concealed. So I don't think that's going to be an issue, because technically my car has the attachment on the inside of... move around here. The inside of the B pillar is where my seatbelt attaches to. It doesn't attach to the side of the seat. So I think once that cover plate goes on, it'll be almost completely seamless. It'll be the same as this, with just a small gap where the seatbelt would normally come through. I don't think that's going to be an issue with that being redundant on the performance seat. Again, it's a trial. I'm going to basically install just the passenger seat. I'm going to leave the module on that it has now, plug it in. Obviously, this is provided that the seat rail actually matches up. Plug it in, and I'm going to see what error messages I get on the dash. I'll probably have an airbag code to clear that will come on when I disconnect the seat because of the airbag temporarily being disconnected. So I know that's coming, but I have a tool, a scanner that can reset that. But first things first, let's get the factory seat out and we'll compare the seat rails and see exactly where we're at as far as the compatibility. So all 4 bolts are removed. I have the seat kind of in a middle position, and I can easily access the front electrical connections, because obviously if this doesn't work out and I just need to reinstall the seat, I want to have an easy time putting power back on the seat so I can access the bolts, because obviously once this comes out the car, it's going to be dead. So I don't want to have the rails sticking all the way out at the front. So I've kind of leveled it out so that it's nice and central. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and pop the hood, disconnect the battery, and then we'll go ahead with unconnecting the electrical connections. I think I should probably wait about 10 minutes just to give the car time to completely power down. There'll be some residual power in the system once I disconnect the battery. So I will wait about 10 minutes before I unsnap the connectors. All right, so battery is disconnected. I've let it sit for a good 15 or so minutes. Just to be sure, it gives time for any kind of residual charge in the system to drain off. And hopefully when I disconnect the electrical connectors, it won't trigger the SRS light. It won't know that I've taken the seat out. So I have these electrical connectors now. I'll just pull these little levers back, unsnap these 3 connectors, and then we should be able to just lift the whole seat out. I'm not going to try and struggle and do that on camera because I'm going to need 2 hands and I don't have a fancy tripod. So I'm just going to set up a moving blanket over here and see if I can just get the seat straight out. So with the seat removed, this is all that's left. You can see the harness from the car is basically just the white connector, the yellow and the black. So I have the seat set up over there. Every time I tried moving this headrest down to the bottom, it kept on going back up again. I guess because the car's door was open, it was kind of defaulting to the highest position. So whatever, I didn't get to put the headrest all the way down, but didn't cause me any trouble with getting the seat out. I think the driver's side is going to be a little bit trickier with the steering wheel, but we'll see how we get on. If I get that far, because what my game plan is now is I'm going to put the cover piece on the side of the performance seat, because obviously it'll be difficult to do that once the seat is inside the car. So I'm just going to snap the cover on the side, and then I'm going to attempt to sit this in the car, see how the rails sit on the floor pan, see if they look like they're going to line up. If that all looks good, then I'll go ahead and connect it electrically, and I will restore power with the battery, and we'll give it a test run and see what functions work and what don't. But I don't want to get too far ahead of myself because it might not even bolt in. So I'm going to lift the seat into the car and we'll see, if the floor pan matches up with these GLC rails. All right, I slid the seat into its spot, slid it until the front feet were in the correct spot, and it kind of sat immediately. It was kind of like it was sliding and all of a sudden it went click and just felt like it located itself, and all of the holes are lining up at the front. I cannot see the back yet. It felt like it was in its spot and it wasn't going to move, so I think all of the bolt holes are going to be good. I won't know until I can actually move the seat if it has power. So we're halfway with success as far as I know that the front rails are good, and I'm really hoping that the back holes are going to be good. I can't see anything from underneath. Everything is nice and tight here, so you can't really look down the sides. But I think the rails are going to be good. Doesn't look like those are going to need to be swapped. So that's the first little bit of success, is the rails fitting into the inside of the car. So that's good. So next step, I have the electrical connection, which I tucked away here so I didn't accidentally sit the seat on it, is I'm going to connect these at the front here, and we will see when I restore power to the car First of all, do any of these electrical functions work? I'm only really concerned with the reclining and the movement. If the heating function doesn't work, I'm not going to be, it's not a deal breaker for me because I live in a hot climate, so I never use the heated function. So even if that wasn't to work, that for me is not a deal breaker. But I do want full movement on the seat, obviously. So the extension pad for the front here, and also the tilt function and the functions here on the seat. If they work, then I will be happy. And obviously error messages, we need to see that the airbag and the passenger seat presence sensor are okay with the car. So yeah, let's get this plugged in. Okay, so I literally just reconnected the negative terminal. Just gonna keep the hood up for now. Let's get back over here. You guys are seeing this as I'm seeing it. There's no test runs here. I'm just having a try at this on camera and seeing what works out. This might go terribly. I might not be able to use these seats, but at least I'm gonna give it a shot. All right, so let's try some door controls. Let's see if the slide function works forwards. All right, so there you go. So the slide function is working. Let's see if the tilt function works. Yep. There she goes. Whoa. All right, so it slides and it tilts. Those are the two things that are like critical because I'm not going to use the seat if it doesn't. I can't remember if these are for the extension pad. Oh, no, actually, those are bolster. I can hear the bolsters moving in. Okay, so those are the bolster adjustments. Wow. So we've pretty much got full functionality. I'll try the heated function once I have the car, once I'm actually driving it and I get some seat time. Let's try the forward extension pad here. Yes, sir. Extension pad is also operational. Guys, wow. Wow, wow, wow. That is awesome news. So the seat functions, all of the power functions are working, so we know that the electrical harness is pinned correctly and it's supplying the various motors on the seat. That is fantastic news. Let's go ahead and slide the seat forward and we'll just take a look at the rear mounting bolts and see, hopefully, let's see if those are in the right spot. I'll just move the seat all the way to the front here so I can expose the bolts. Let's have a look. Bullseye, right on the hole. Absolutely awesome. Wow, how lucky is that? So the bolt holes are perfect, so I can go ahead and put those other two bolts in the back. So now that I know I have power and the bolt holes are lined up, I'm going to go ahead and just put these bolts in, and then I'm actually going to start the car up. And then we'll see if I have any airbag lights and anything weird going on. I'm really interested to see that, first of all, the airbag communicates to the car and it doesn't see a fault. And also, the passenger seat, the occupancy sensor is different on the performance seats, and that can cause a fault. This is a newer model, it's a 2019. These are also from a 2020. So, sorry, they were spec'd for a 2020 GLC. So I think the airbags should be year correct because 2019 and newer is the facelift. So I don't think there'll be an issue, but again, it's a big if, I don't know. So anyway, let's get the bolts in and then we'll go over to the driver's seat. Okay, so I just switched the car on and I'm getting the front SRS module, or sorry, front SRS airbag error code, which I did actually get on my previous Mercedes, and I was able to reset that using the scan tool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to knock the car off, stop the car, connect up my scan tool and see if I can clear this code, and then go for a second startup. Driver's seat is in, front two bolts are in place. Gonna give it power, slide it forwards, do the two rear bolts, and then I'll see if I can reset the the airbag codes once both front seats are all in. So I'll get this hooked up. So this is the only code that I am currently left with, which is B00A056, which is passenger weight calibration required. So it could be that because this is a brand new seat, the sensor in here has not been calibrated, and so the car doesn't basically know whether anybody's in the seat or not. I know dealerships can do a recalibration. I don't know if it's something that I can do. I'm going to have to read up on it, but that's what we have at the moment. So a little bit of reading up required so that I can get this fixed. Alternatively, I could swap the sensor out from the factory, from the coupe seat over there. I could take the bolster off and take the sensor out, but I'm going to see what I can do with this first before I go taking the seat base apart. So that's what we have, and I'll let you guys know how I get on with fixing it. All right, so this is the passenger side seat that I removed, and what I'm thinking I'm going to have to do is this kind of dark blue. I don't know what material this is. It almost is like a fabric, but that little sensor in the middle that's almost like a gel pad with this fabric around it, that is the passenger presence or occupancy sensor, and I need to transfer that into the performance seat because there's no guarantee that I'd be able to take it to a shop and they'd be able to code the car to accept the different type of presence sensor. I kind of knew going into it that the performance seats do have a different type of sensor, so it just is what it is. You know, there's nothing I can do about it. There is a chance I could get it programmed, but that's easily going to cost me a couple of $100, and I don't think it's going to be too difficult to get this out. All I need to do is separate the fabric around the sides here, because this is all just snap-on clips, and lift the cushion up enough to be able to slide this out, because there's only like one electrical connector and then this little plastic tube here. So I'm really hoping that I can disconnect the connections here, separate the foam from the frame, and then just kind of feed the feed the tube and the electrical thing through and be able to take the sensor out. I won't know until I actually start doing this how tricky it's going to be, but I've got nothing to lose. Hopefully it's easier than I'm expecting it to be. So yeah, I'm gonna get started and I'll let you know how I get on. Okay, so a little bit of time spent investigating how to remove the passenger presence sensor from this seat. I wanted to try and having to avoid completely removing the upholstery. So what I figured that I could do, and it actually managed to work out for me, was I removed the trim from the inside of the seat and then disconnected the fabric. Obviously I removed the plastic trim that was here, and on the front also the plastic trim, and then I just wedged this duct tape roll, and it gave me enough clearance to comfortably put my hand on the inside of the frame here, because you're not getting between the leather and the foam, you're getting between the foam and the metal. And I had more than enough room to show you like this to be able to run my hand all the way down and just unpop the two clips and then gently slide this out, and had plenty of space, so there was no danger of damaging the sensor, because this is like a gel pack with liquid inside it, so you do have to take care, because obviously it would be pointless exercise to take this out and mess it up in the in the process. So did take my time and I got it out without too much of a fuss. So yeah, next step will be to get the performance seat out and do the exact same thing and see how easy or not I can get this sensor into the performance seat. So I might not be as lucky with that one, but we'll see. We'll see how I get on. So some of the work is done and we'll keep going. Okay, so passenger side performance seat is removed for the second time so that I can work on it. We have here the seat sensor, occupancy sensor, removed from the standard coupe seat. And from appearances, this sensor looks identical. It just has the two plastic push pin fitments. You can see one right there and the other one down at the bottom there. So, I mean, it looks the same. Obviously, there is some difference. Maybe the actual electrical sensor is different. There's something about it that the car doesn't like. It could also be that this is a brand new sensor and it's never been calibrated before. But considering this is relatively straightforward, you know, touch wood, because I haven't finished the job yet, but if this goes successfully, it's certainly an easier option than trying to get a dealership to code the car to correct or calibrate that sensor, because not all dealerships are willing to work with you when you're doing non-standard parts on your car. So yeah, this is kind of, I'm having to resolve this myself with a little bit of patience. So I'm thinking I'm going to unsnap the fabric on this side, and I should be able to do exactly what I did on the other seat and just squeeze my hand in, give myself some space and gently feed the sensor through and get this little pigtail through the bottom. So I'll let you know how I get on. Can't do it on camera because I need my hands. So yeah, I'm gonna get started with this. Okay, so passenger side performance seat is removed for the second time so that I can work on it. We have here the seat sensor, occupancy sensor, removed from the standard coupe seat. And from appearances, this sensor looks identical. It just has the two plastic push pin fitments. You can see one right there and the other one down at the bottom there. So, I mean, it looks the same. Obviously, there is some difference. Maybe the actual electrical sensor is different. There's something about it that the car doesn't like. It could also be that this is a brand new sensor and it's never been calibrated before. But considering this is relatively straightforward, you know, touch wood, because I haven't finished the job yet, but if this goes successfully, it's certainly an easier option than trying to get a dealership to code the car to correct or calibrate that sensor, because not all dealerships are willing to work with you when you're doing non-standard parts on your car. So yeah, this is kind of, I'm having to resolve this myself with a little bit of patience. So I'm thinking I'm going to unsnap the fabric on this side, and I should be able to do exactly what I did on the other seat and just squeeze my hand in, give myself some space and gently feed the sensor through and get this little pigtail through the bottom. So I'll let you know how I get on. Can't do it on camera because I need my hands. So yeah, I'm going to get started with this. All right, so the sensor from the performance seat has been removed. I labeled it so I don't get them mixed up. So interestingly, the part numbers on here, the A213 number actually matches up 100%. So the part number is the same. So it could just be that since this is a brand new seat, this just has never been calibrated. So kind of makes sense. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead. I know this one's good to go and it's already synced up to the car. So I'm gonna go ahead and slide this guy in. So far, I was able to do the same technique that I did on the other one. I prized up the foam from the side and it gave me just enough clearance to wiggle it out. It is going to be trickier getting it in than it is getting it out. I know that's for sure. I'd like to do it without these little tree clips, whatever you call them, because they're going to kind of fight me as I wiggle it through. But there's actually 3 layers to this. It's hard to see, but there's 3 layers of plastic, and then there's this kind of fabric front, and you can see in the center is where the liquid or the gel that's contained within it is flowing, so to speak. And I just need to keep them all in alignment as I slide it in, so I'm kind of stuck with leaving these little pins in. I did think I could put a cable tie or something through and then clip it once I get it in position. But I'm going to see how I get on. I'm going to try and very carefully maneuver it in. I'm going to really take my time. I'm going to wedge something in here to give me some breathing space so I can kind of get it exactly in its spot in the bottom of the foam without damaging the sensor. So here we go. See how I get on, and I'll let you know if I'm successful. Good news, sensor is in, and I did it without having to do any kind of twisting or squishing of it. I really wanted to try and keep the sensor perfect as I slid it in, and I was really able to just get in across the top here and just pull this foam up, and it gave me a good 1.5 inches of clearance, and I could slide it in sensor first and then feed the pigtail of the sensor right through the center where it's supposed to go, because this has to be in this perfect kind of circle or half moon shape for the sensor to work correctly. This tube has to follow the original path, so the sensor has to go through there, and it has to do a little half turn, and then everything is perfect in the recess of the foam. Same on the top. I got the plastic locating pins snapped in. I rechecked it from the top. It is perfect and flat, and it is in its correct position. So very, very happy that I was able to do that without having to completely remove the bottom foam. So I'm going to get all this back together. Hopefully this doesn't fight me too much. Just got to get this foam bolstering back over the sides, snap all the edging down on the back, put the heating element back to here, snap this in, put the underseat lighting back, and then I'll be good to put it back in the car. Fingers crossed this is going to be error-free. I really hope after all this effort it's going to pay off. It's a lot of work to do this messing around, but hopefully this is going to solve my malfunction error. So here we go, put it back together. Seat is fully back together. Fabric is snapped in around the corner. I put this trim piece back on the front. The back fabric is all snapped back in. The lighting is put back. The heating connector is redone. As you can see, this little pigtail has a little bracket there. That is clipped back in its place. So that is doing its factory shape that it's supposed to do. I have the connector all tightened up. So to my eyes, I think we are all good. I think that's everything back the way that it was. So this doesn't actually have a plastic trim on the side, on the inside edge. So this can just go back in the car as it is. So I think I'm good to go. I'm going to go put this seat back in the car. Hopefully the last time it has to go back in. And then it'll be a moment of truth to see what happens when I try and reset the passenger seat fault. So we'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, seat's going to go back in. So one last thing I'm having to do before I do a final startup and check if I can clear the codes is I forgot to put the small plastic covers on the seat bolt covers, basically on the end of the rails. And I tried them already on the passenger seat. They worked perfect. So the coupe standard seats, the frame rails, and the sedan performance seat frame rails, they take the same covers. So that's awesome. So I'm just going to go get those slid on so it just kind of finishes nicely around the carpet edges here, so it looks just the way it should from the factory, and then I'll finally be able to start the car. Okay, so this is the one fault code that I have. It's showing for the supplemental restraint system. I checked the code, so it's going to give me the option here to erase it. You guys probably can't read the screen here because it's very bright, but it's saying, are you sure? I'm going to go ahead and click yes. It shows that it's clearing. Okay, it's now showing a pass with no fault. So the SRS error is now cleared. So I'll go ahead and just switch the car back off. Disconnect the scan tool. And we shall see when I start this up what happens. I do have the 12-volt battery lights because I was on vacation for 3 weeks and the car was parked up. So I did not get haven't got a full charge on the battery because it's been sitting for 3 weeks. And these cars don't like to sit. So I'm going to crack open the garage door. I'm going to start it up and we'll see what happens. All right, I just started the car up, and what would you know? No more SRS fault. So there you go. That was the problem. It was the weight positioning sensor was either not calibrated, or it was not compatible. Even though the part number looked to be the same, maybe there was some difference, but regardless, I knew it was the sensor that was giving me the restraint system fault. And so obviously I did a good job installing or reinstalling the coupe occupancy sensor from the other seat, because it's working perfectly. So I really took my time with it to make sure I treated that sensor with care, since it is like a gel pad, and didn't want to, you know, crease it or possibly kink the little hose that goes to the sensor. So I got lucky. I did definitely get lucky here. This could have been a trip to the dealership and a lot of a headache. These cars have got so many computers now that sometimes you're kind of up against it when it comes to upgrading and retrofitting different parts from different models. But there you go. I have now successfully fitted GLC AMG performance seats in my C43 coupe. So to answer the questions, as many people I've seen have asked, can you put performance seats in a car that doesn't have them? Yes, you can. You might have to do a little bit of messing around. It might not be completely plug and play, but you can do it. So yeah, that's it. All good. I'm so pleased this has worked out for me, because these seats are perfect. They do need a good clean because my greasy hands have been all over them, but I'll get the car out tomorrow and I'll get you guys some footage of how my interior is looking with the brand new performance seats. All right, so it's the next day. Let's take a look at how she is looking with the bucket seats installed. Holy cow. Just take a step back so we can get the full side shot. Look at how beautiful this car is sitting with those seats poking through. See, now this is the spec that I was looking for when I was C43 shopping. I really wanted to get the performance seats, but they were so hard to find. It was so difficult, and I looked nationwide to try and find a car with the mileage and the options with the panoramic roof and the AMG performance exhaust. It was so difficult to find them with the bucket seats, and now I've created the car that I wanted in the first place. This car is giving me similar vibes to when I had my C450 that I put the red and black performance seats in, because when I switched that interior out, I just completely fell in love with the car. It just took the car to another level. It was just such a joy to drive it, because these seats, they just make you feel so locked in, like you're in a sports car, because they're firm, but they're not overly firm and uncomfortable unless you are somebody who is a bit wider, but they hold you in place so well, and they just feel, when you're sat in them, you just feel kind of locked in. They are really nice seats. And the quality, you know, with the hard shell backs to them and the full power functions and the lumbar adjustment, these are leagues ahead of any of the Recaros that I've had in my previous cars. Now, I had a Mustang GT, and that had the optional Recaro interior. I've had the Camaro SS with the upgraded Recaro interior. These seats, they're in a different league. They're so much nicer in build quality and functionality with all of the power functions and adjustments. They are a dream. I am so pleased that I managed to get my hands on a set. And the white striping just suits this car perfectly. You know, as I mentioned earlier, I already have this kind of white color, silver color stitching throughout. So the rear seats, they match nicely with the stitching that is on these seats already. Of course, it would be nice to get the seats that have the white striping to match. If I can find the rear setup in the future, I'll most likely grab them. And the door panels as well. I'm sure I will continue to add more pieces to complement the new kind of interior accent color. So I'll just close this up again. So for anyone who is new to the channel, this car, I've had it for 5 or 6 months now. We just added the BC Forged 2-piece wheels. This car is lowered on H&R Sport Springs, which is perfect for the street. And it looks a lot better with the lowered stance. And now with the interior popping out, you know, with the silver through the windshield and also through the side, because I do not have tinted windows. It's beautiful. You can see the seats so well from the outside of the car. We have the carbon fiber lip, we have the GTR style grille, and the whole front of the car is looking so different from when I bought it. And this is kind of my style. I like to do OEM plus. So the C43 Amg that I had in the past got the full performance interior. I did Vossen wheels. So I've done a similar path before. And now that I've done the seats in this car, I don't know, I feel like I'm on the right track. This is what I wanted when I was shopping for this car. And now that I've put them in, it just feels like it was meant to be. I took it for a test drive last night to make sure there was no error codes. And I just instantly felt like, yes, this is what this car was missing. And I just can't stop looking at them. I spent all morning today just coming in the garage and just sitting and looking inside the car at what a big difference it has made. So we have a ton more stuff coming. I've barely even got started. The whole rear is stock, the spoiler, the diffuser. The only thing I added was the little kind of scoops on the side there. Obviously, I mentioned the wheels and some carbon fiber at the front, but there is so much more that I'm going to be doing on the interior and the exterior as I continue to improve this car. So if you're somebody who's subscribed, I greatly appreciate you guys. And if anyone considers subscribing, you guys are awesome. And I'll be bringing lots more content in the next coming weeks. So definitely stay tuned. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope this helps anybody out that might be considering adding performance seats to their Mercedes. And yeah, I'll be back with you guys really soon.